It's quintessential Lloyd during playing of guitar.
I don't like you. That is also an essential part of playing guitar.
Yeah.
At the moment I'm going through my effects pedal trying to put the effects in a sensible order and compiling together effects I like so they're easy to find. This is Rosie. She is the star of the show. She does probably about 90% of the instrumental work we do on all our tracks. Her along with this little box here, which is my effects pedal. So at the moment Rosie plays lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass and ambient synth effects.
What did you think of her when you first picked her up?
It was, I don't know, it's like holding a good piece of handcrafted, like when you pick up something that's been sort of lovingly made and you know that the quality is good and you start playing it and you're like, this guitar could just about play itself. It just works with you instead of against you.
Mm. Do you think Rosie writes some of the songs herself then?
Yeah.
She gives you the ideas.
She is the star of the band.
That's the source of...
The star of the band.
Oh,
The guitar is built so you can feel the sound.
yeah.
I'm sitting with the guitar and I'm playing it. I feel the vibration through the body of the guitar. So when I originally got this guitar, I just noticed when I first pulled it out of the box, there's this knot in the wood here and it gave this weird effect on the finish. You can see it's lighter and then darker. And originally I don't know, I thought it wasn't nice, but I actually come to really love all the knots of the wood and the feel of the neck on this guitar.
This is Siren. I love her. She was my Valentine's Day present. My goal, I suppose, with Siren is to be able to play some of our rhythm parts for the songs that Lloyd's written so that we could potentially actually busk and play things live. At the moment we still kind of rely on Lloyd being able to play everything because we layer it together. Is there anything that Siren is better for than Rosie?
I do like doing the finger picking or when I really need that tone of an acoustic. And backing chords with the whistle sound amazing on a plain acoustic. So if you just, an acoustic guitar and a whistle is just slim. You just can't go past that. This is Pippa, my 3-piece low D Tony Dixon whistle that I love to pieces. It has a beautiful warm tone. Bit of a pain to record, she doesn't get on with the microphone very well, but I've come up with a whole heap of tricks to take out the
yeah, tell us about how you stop it sounding like air.
So the way I get rid of the really nasty, because it has a very airy sound which can get rid of, I normally use noise reduction. So I'll sit there and record the noise and then use the noise reduction algorithm to pull that out of the sound, and then I'd add a reverb over the top to bring it up to the same reverberance as the guitar.
Is Pippa much different from your other low D?
Yes, very different to play. The back pressure is a little bit different, as I said, a lot heavier to hold. Much easier to cover the holes because the holes are smaller. Just has a warmer tone, but a little bit more airy.
This is Thor, and he makes loud crashing noises. But hopefully I'll be playing a bit more of Thor in the future. I always just strum in a boring way, which is why I'm learning the way at C now. I can do this bit. The water is deep and the spirits are red again. Running in and the smells clean threads on purpose. For Feathers, Wood and String, we wanted to try to do all of the playing ourselves, so we wanted to create stuff that we can actually play. In all our songs, one of us is playing or singing all of the stuff that you hear in it, which has resulted in us acquiring a lot of extra instruments.
I do some things and some stuff. And it takes a long time and a large amount of swearing.
That's fairly accurate, really.
Originally, when I first decided to start playing guitar and composing more on guitar, I always thought it would be way harder than composing on the piano, because I could always just sit down at the piano and just something would come out, something would work. But now I've worked with the guitar and I'm learning all the Irish stuff, playing all the scales and just finding the different shapes on the guitar. It's a really interesting instrument, and it forces you to compose in a different way.
What do you think is the thing that's changed the most since we started?
Mixing.
Yeah.
Black magic, and I am only an apprentice. I've learnt a lot so far. Before I used to just plug everything in and hope stuff would work. I wouldn't even check the levels, didn't even know about buzz or anything. So now I'm very strict on checking the decibel levels of everything, so I know I'm not maxing any of the mics or any of the sensors and things like that. The other thing I learned so far is about reverb and compression. These are probably the two most important effects. So the reverb sort of gives you a natural sound effect, but you get sound bouncing around the room. And all the instruments have to have a similar sort of level of reverb, otherwise it sounds weird. Because as humans, we're used to sort of sitting in a room and listening to the sound bounce around in the room, and it gives a certain ambience. But when you have a microphone, it'll just pick up the sound that's near it and not necessarily the ambient reverberation in a room. The compression basically ends up taking part of the sound and clipping it, so it leaves the lower sound, and by clipping off the louder sounds it pulls the volume of everything similar, basically. But you don't want to do that too much, because if you press too much you lose all the dynamics in the tone. But the trouble with that is it makes any of the noise and lower level stuff seem louder, because you're basically clipping off everything that's loud, so the things that are quiet, like the noise and the signal, go up. Which is very bad, because then basically when Sarah's singing, you hear the singing and then she goes and it's like, god damn it, and I have to like select that exact bit and edit that out and silence it, and then that sounds weird.
It's quite hard to breathe, to sing without breathing, actually. Yes, but we have learnt that some things can be picked up on the microphone that we don't want.
This is very true. People driving cars past our house are the bane of my existence, and Sarah breathing. Sarah should just stop breathing.
Although we are forever, your fire is in my soul.
This is Beth. She is our band manager. She keeps us sane.
How many cups of tea does it take to record one song?
A metric shit ton.
Most of my lyrics writing I now do while listening to you improvising. And sometimes I just kind of get an idea what I feel like the song's going to be about, but all you've got is a riff or a chord pattern. I'll listen to that and I'll already know what I think it's for.
I suppose that's the way we start most of the songs. I don't know, sometimes I get in my head that I want to try a particular thing with a riff, or one day I'm just messing around and something will just work.
Actually, as soon as I hear you playing something that you're regularly playing the same thing, I'll start to think about what it could be as a song. Yeah, sometimes I do have lyrics that are already written, and I like to use any instances of having passionate emotions about things. So that's where our nerd anthem scene comes from, because a lot of the sources of that are not actually from me, they're from characters, from role playing, which is a good way to get a whole bunch of different emotions and circumstances that you wouldn't just have in your own life. Sometimes it's hard though to get the kind of intensity of the singing to build up appropriately, because I'll do my singing to the rhythm track and then you'll add in a whole bunch of nice layers and build up and stuff, but I won't have had that when I'm doing the singing, so
No.
I'm not very good at kind of going, okay, now I'm going to get much more rough with my voice or whatever, unless I have that inspiration of the other instruments. And
Yeah, I
things
think
like that.
from now on we need to do a rerun, like once we've got that first draft of the vocals,
Yeah.
we should start then thinking about re-recording the vocals once all the other parts are layered in.
What do you do when you want me to do something?
I tickle you.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I
That
tickle
doesn't
you.
work.
Oh, then I bite you. Or sometimes when I'm frustrated, I make sure you're frustrated too.
Yes.
It's,
By all the tickling and biting and licking. I remembered something and now I forgot what it is.
No.
This is the loading song. We do this when we're waiting for things to record. Because you know, just being really happily in love is a very common theme for songs. So I don't want to write another standard love song. That's why we're writing nerd anthems. We want to write about something different that people might identify with, but
Do you want me to make you miserable? I
No
can help.
thanks, I have an inspiration from elsewhere. But we kind of have three almost completely distinct styles
That's
coming
true.
out. We're doing the traditional Irish stuff, and I suppose that's my influence of being a dancer, even though that's the bane of Lloyd's life, because it has to be at special dancing speeds. But, you know, it's a source of the influence. I don't think you'd be playing Irish folk if I hadn't introduced you to it by
No,
being an
that's
Irish
true.
dancer.
But I think listening to a diverse range of music, and I'm also listening to a lot of old stuff that I used to like Powderfinger and Grinspoon, as sort of strong influences on my music, and
Yeah.
blues and good old Hendrix. Some of the stuff
Certainly.
he plays is stunning.
Powderfinger and chili peppers and stuff is what I tend to think of when I imagine what I'd like to sound like.
Yeah, me
The
too.
Birds of Tokyo is the big role model, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah, but I'll never be able to sing like Ian Kenny.
Oh, you're implying that I can never sing like Ian Kenny. I'm improving.
You are not Ian Kenny.